Hello everyone. So I said to do a video of me doing my moisture routine. I usually start with this spray. It's a protein spray which I usually apply just to the tips of my hair, and that's me squeezing it in. The reason I do this is because the tips of the hair, like we know, the oldest part of the hair, and more prone to breakage, dryness, knots, tangles, all kinds of damage really. So I just take this pre-step in my moisture routine to fortify the tips of my hair before I go into the moisture routine proper. So this is me squeezing in the product before I start my moisture routine. So I use the LCO method, starting with the liquid. You can see me, sorry this is not coming out clearly, but I'm actually applying the liquid product, spraying it through all the braids, and then squeezing in. So for this step here, I'm actually using a DIY mix, which I did using water, glycerin, like 3 parts water, a part glycerin, and just a little leave-in conditioner. I'm spraying this in. I'm working it through all the braids and squeezing in. So I'm squeezing in just to ensure that all the braids get hydrated. I use all these steps just to make sure I don't have to moisturize frequently. I noticed that if I do only one step, I actually have to moisturize way more frequently. And because on the braid challenge, I moisturize only once a week, I have to do it right so the hair stays moisturized till it's time for the next moisture routine. So after working that in, I apply my cream. It's the leave-in conditioner I use, Shea Moisture, from the Jamaican Black Castor Oil line of Shea Moisture. So I apply this in from root to tip with special focus on my tips because they are the most vulnerable part of my hair. So if the section is too big, split the section just to make sure it goes around all the braids. So work it into the next section. It's actually really important to ensure that all the braids are covered. And the reason why I squeeze it in is because if it were loose hair, I wouldn't need to squeeze in, but because I'm working with braids, I have to squeeze in to make sure that all the turns on the braid actually get some of the products that I'm applying. So I'm working this in. The leave-in conditioner I'm using in this video actually isn't the only one I use, but I just chose to use it this time because I benefit from the little strengthening properties that comes with it. But I'm sure in subsequent videos you'll get to see the other products I use. Just slow this down a bit just to help you see how I work it in and I don't leave the tips behind. So this is the last section I'll be taking. Focus on the tips, work it in from root to tip just to ensure it goes round. And of course, after working it in, I squeeze in as well. So I'll be going to the last step which is the oil. I used to use butters before, but I noticed that for the braid challenge, using butter is a bit too heavy, and it tends to cause product buildup. So I prefer to just use a heavier oil. In this case, a mixture of castor oil, rose oil, and a little bit of peppermint and tea tree oil. So I work this in, as usual, in sections with special focus on the tips of my hair. Applying that in just to make sure it goes round. Butters, some people would probably still prefer butters anyway, but I find that heavy oils do a better job for me. So I've chosen to stick with using oils. So I'm working that in. So if you notice, during this routine so far, I've focused on the hair strands. I've actually not really done anything on the scalp. And that's because I have a separate routine for my scalp. When I'm doing my moisture routine, I basically just strengthen the tips, then do my LCO method for only the hair. But I have a separate routine for my scalp, which I'm going to be sharing hopefully in a different video. So this just shows me working in the oil. I hope to share my scalp routine soon. But over time, I found that the products that nourish and hydrate my hair strands very well don't necessarily always do the same for my scalp, and may cause build up and have other side effects. So I've chosen to separate my routines, and it has actually worked well for me. So that's me rounding up my moisture routine and getting my hair together before I protect it for the night. So thank you so much for watching. It was a pleasure having you on this journey with me. As we go on, I will definitely still record more routines. Ciao.